want to see who I'm talking to this morning. So again, my name is Judy Nakatomi. I'm one of the ministerial assistants here at Vista Buddhist Temple, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm learning that it's important to name ourselves and our identities. I want everyone here to feel comfortable in their full identities. So I'm learning and I'm getting better at it each time I try. I'm feeling gratitude as a continuation of my parents this morning, James Nakatomi and Betty Nakashima. Both of California, both born in California, and also of Gila River and Tule Lake, American concentration camps. This week marked a day of remembrance because 78 years ago, over 120,000 Japanese Americans were forcibly removed from their homes by Executive Order 9066. And many families, including many of our Sangha members here and ancestors of this temple, are survivors, and my parents and grandparents among them. So I'm choosing to name Gila River and Tule Lake as places that my ancestors reside. And hopefully this summer I'll be able to go to Tule Lake on a pilgrimage to the place where my grandparents and my father and aunts and uncles lived for 3 years. So we're their continuation, and we are also discussing this book today, American Sutra. And I just want to put a shout out to, thanks to Carol for choosing this book. It's a book that I'm not completely finished reading yet, but I intend to give it to my kids because I think it really needs a place on our bookshelf to remember our history, to remember our ancestors, and to remember the many struggles that brought us here today. And the second thing I'd like to do is acknowledge the land in which we are on, which we now call Vista. This is the Luiseno Kumeyaay land. And the people of the Luiseno Kumeyaay tribes, of which there are, I think, 460 federally recognized tribes in the United States, they're still here, the Luiseno Kumeyaay people. So kindness and gratitude are kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. And with regard to the kids in Dharma School and the kids that are young at heart. And specifically, I also have kids that are in their 20s, so I'm kind of speaking to that age bracket as well. So the quote that I saw recently on social media said something like this about kindness. Kindness is loaning someone your strength instead of reminding them of their weaknesses. I'm going to say that again. Kindness, loaning someone your strength instead of reminding them of their weakness. And it made me think, what if we all did more of this at work and at home with our children and in our conversations, instead of reminding people of their weaknesses, to loan them some of our strength when we have it. So it's kind of guiding me right now of how I interact with people and with others, and how I choose to be in the world. So as I prepared this message this morning, it was with the young people in mind, as I mentioned earlier, Dharma School kids, teens, and young adults. And I think of young adults, now that I've turned 60, as people in their 30s. So it's 30 to 35. It's going up all the time. Yeah, so, and that inner child that's still present in all of us, because it is, that inner child is still very, very present in all of us. So I have a gift and a secret to share with you this morning. And they're really for the entire Sangha, but it's the young people that I really want to especially highlight this morning to convey this message to. So first of all, when I bow, and when I bow to you, I'm silently saying, I'm offering a lotus flower to you. So it's like the most beautiful flower, or the most beautiful flower that you can think of. I'm offering a lotus flower to you, and when I bow and put my hands together, it's to bow to the Buddha in you. because we all have a potential to become Buddhas someday. We can all awaken in this lifetime and in this life form, so we don't have to wait to become a Buddha. We have this opportunity right now. So I'm bowing in appreciation to all that you are and noticing all your qualities in the moment and knowing that we are all living beings together in this moment. A friend of mine uses the term earthlings. So we're all earthlings on this special and delicate and beautiful planet that we all share together. And as adults, sometimes we forget. I know I forget. We forget to say it and to show it. So I wanted to take a moment to say that that's the essence of when I put my hands together. It's a little bit different for everyone, but when I put my hands together, I think of that, of offering the person the most beautiful flower and bowing to that potential of the Buddha in them. So the things that I wanted to say to the Dharma School and Young at Heart this morning is that you all matter to me. And it might sound funny at first, and it might sound like a really simple phrase, but sometimes as adults we forget that each one of you matter. And I also want to acknowledge that each of you in this place, in Vista Buddhist Temple, that this is a place for you, it's a place for all of us. That you have a place here, you belong here, and you're worthy to be here. I want you all to know, especially our young people, that I see you and I'm here for you. And if you ever need someone to listen to you, if you ever need someone to talk to, that I'm here for you and this Sangha is here for you. And I'm going to work harder to see and to not forget. So I'd like to just take a moment to, I brought my bell with me this morning, to invite the bell as we just take a breath together, and then I'm going to go into, don't worry, I'm not going to forget about the secret and the gift. That's coming in a little bit, but I'm going to invite the bell here. If we can just invite the bell and follow our breaths for just a few seconds. Thank you. So gratitude and kindness are arising for me as I prepared the talk today, because we're celebrating Black History Month, this month of February. And there's a part of me that thinks it's kind of funny that we designate only 1 month to do some of these things of Black History Month and all these different awarenesses. That it should be a part of our awareness all the time, but right now we're celebrating Black History Month. And I got to thinking about a song that I've been listening to lately, and maybe some of you know this artist. Her name is India Ari. Some of you know her. She's a lyricist and a singer and a songwriter and an amazing guitar player. And I love the way she plays the guitar, because when I was kind of like this age here, I took guitar lessons. And so in the lyrics, she says, she asks, what if Martin didn't stand up? The title of the song is called What If? What if Martin didn't stand up? What if Martin Luther King didn't stand up? What if Rosa Parks didn't sit down? Where would we be now? What if Nelson Mandela didn't come to teach us? And what if Harriet Tubman didn't go underground? Where would we be now? Because we're the ones that we've been waiting for. And our love can change the world. With our love, we can change the world. And I've been borrowing these lyrics lately as I've listened to the song over and over as my mantra, my morning meditation mantra of what if these people didn't come at the time that they came to us, and they didn't take a chance. What if they didn't take a chance, or they didn't make a stand, or take a risk, or lose their lives where would we all be now? Because I believe that their actions have really benefited all of us, regardless of where we come from. They have led really great movements. And so I recognize that I owe that debt of gratitude, that bowing, that debt of gratitude. I owe that debt of gratitude to those teachers too, because they've become my ancestors. Even though I'm not directly related to them, I don't share a blood ancestry with them, I know that I'm a continuation of all of the great things that they did and all the great things that they stood for. So it's made me want to learn more about them and about people like Desmond Tutu and Maya Angelou and Audre Lorde, Toni Morrison, and Michelle Alexander, to name a few. And then one more person I want to add to that list. Yesterday I had the chance and the opportunity to go to Los Angeles to Sensei Temple, which is a sister temple, a sibling temple of ours in Los Angeles. And there I attended a memorial for one of our family members, Mamie Kirkland. And I'm adding Mamie Kirkland to that list of people who are my ancestors now, because Mamie passed away in December of last year. Mamie was born in 1908 in Mississippi, and this is a picture of Mamie. She lived to be 111 years old. And we got to visit with Mamie every year when she would come from Buffalo, New York, to stay for 3 months a year when winters were really cold in New York. So she would come to family gatherings. She's my brother-in-law's. We're related through my brother-in-law, Bob Miyamoto. And so we'd get together for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of these holidays. And so Mamie was the hub of activity. Everyone wanted to be around Mamie because she had an infectious laugh and smile, and she was witty and funny, and she wore, I don't know if you can see in this picture, but she loved colors. She loved jewelry. Specifically, she loved bling, so I'm wearing one of her necklaces this morning. She was an Avon lady, but she was also much more than that in her community, because they said that she really practiced, she was Christian, so she practiced those teachings, but Reverend Moss said that she was actually a really great Buddhist too, and maybe she just didn't know it. She wasn't aware of it. So Mamie's story is informing my life right now, because she escaped just some really horrible things when she lived in Mississippi, and her family had to move quite quickly out of Mississippi for fear of her father's life. And I can talk a little bit more about that later, but her father feared for his life, and so they had to leave Mississippi very, very quickly. So instead of being a sad occasion, it was a beautiful occasion. It was, there were artists there were dancers there. Mamie is part Choctaw indigenous person, so there were 4 blessings from indigenous community in which they burned their traditional incense and offered a chant. There was poetry, there was a musical dance tribute, there was a comedian who came to offer some laughter and joy. There was an excerpt from the film that they're working on. Tarabu, her son, is working on a documentary of her life called 100 Years from Mississippi. And then there was a special music guest who came and sang and performed a blues piece. Some of you might know him. Kev Mo. Wow. Kev Mo, the artist, was there. So it was just a really beautiful way of honoring Mamie's life. And so Mamie is really informing how I'm celebrating this month and beyond. So the 2 things that I promised not to forget, is a kind of secret and a gift. And you might already know this. It took me a long time to understand fully the meaning behind this. So this little gift I want to offer to you, because I just turned 60 recently, and so it's taken me a long time. Maybe I'm a slow learner. But so you might already know this, that it's love that is not outside of us. It's not out there. It's not another person. It's a secret that I've uncovered. And for young people and for those open to listening, when we talk about compassion in Buddhism, it's really a form of love. And love is more than outside of us. It's not what we see in magazines. It's not what we see in social media, on TV. And it influences us. Television really influences us, and shows influence us, and covers of magazine influence us. But it's not a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's not what's depicted in shows like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. It's very puzzling to me that that show is so popular. Or it's also not perfectly curated photos, like the perfect photos on Instagram or Facebook of the proposal. I don't know if some of you have seen those perfect photos that are staged. But I think it sends a message to our young people that life is going to be perfect, and it's going to be defined by one single person that's going to make your life complete. And it's my experience that that's not true. And we have really limited beliefs of what romantic love is. And although romantic love is really beautiful, it's not the only kind of love. So I think that these were practices in Buddhism. They're actually Buddhist practices that the Buddha spoke about, the 4 practices of love called the 4 immeasurables. And some might know it as the Brahma Viharas. And for our young people, it's something that maybe we can talk about at some other time if you want to, and if you'd like to learn more about it. A friend of mine calls them the 4 flavors of love, and I really like that because it's a softer way of entering instead of calling it the 4 immeasurables or the Brahma Viharas. So these 4 flavors of love are loving kindness, they are compassion, they are joy, inner joy, and the joy you experience in noticing someone else's happiness and joy. And then the 4th is kind of a little bit hard to describe. It's called equanimity. But for me, equanimity is it's expanding our heart. It's expanding our own true definition of love. It's having lots of space in your heart and not closing it off. So love to me is an inside job. It might not seem like much of a secret to you, but it is to me. And I think that we need to learn to see the expansiveness of love and the spaciousness of love. The same friend that called it the 4 flavors of love, he calls our hearts are not gated communities. That we're not limiting who gets in and who gets out of our hearts. I think that's a really lovely way to think about it. So don't think about it of love with just one person. No matter how beautiful or cool they are, or how hot they are, or how hip they are, there's not just one kind of love. And lastly, it's not about diminishing who you are or depleting who you are, or it's not even about completing you, because that's an inside job too. That's coming from the inside of us. And the gift this morning is a gift to touch our ancestors, and it's an invitation for all of us, but especially again for the young people here in Sangha this morning. So I'd like to invite you to either sit quietly or close your eyes or have your eyes open. It's up to you. And this is just going to be a gift of silence for a few seconds. So it's getting comfortable in your seat and either feeling the ground underneath you or maybe the solidity of the pew, the wood or the cushion of the pew. We're going to touch our ancestors, and I'll keep track of the time. It'll just be a minute or so. But you can just think about a teacher or teachers or family, someone who you really miss. This minute of mindfulness is inspired by Mr. Rogers, or Fred Rogers. Just recently watched his films again. And I'd like to give you all this invisible gift, the gift of silence, to think about those who nourish you at the very deepest part of who you are, the very deepest part of your being. Anyone who has ever loved you and wanted what was best for you in your life. Some of those people might be here today, and some may be far away. Some may not even be alive now. But they've encouraged you, and they've loved you to come closer to what you know to be what's important in life. Just take a few moments to think of them. So whomever you've been thinking about, you can just imagine for a moment how grateful they might be that at this moment in your life that you're remembering them with gratitude and with compassion and maybe with some joy or that spaciousness that we talked about. And so this is something that we can do every day. It can be built into, can be called meditation practice. It doesn't have to be called that, but it's something that we can do every day. It just takes a minute or so. It can begin at the very beginning of your day, of how you greet the day. It can be a way that you end your day, of just bringing that moment of silence and attention to those teachers or ancestors in your life that you want to honor for a moment. It doesn't have to be Black History Month or any other history month. It can be a minute out of your day, or a minute out of the beginning or the end of your day. I'd like to end with a poem. In trying to understand more of the teachers this month, Black teachers and African American teachers, I'm reading more Maya Angelou, and more than the top 10 poems that she's written, I wanted to find something that would maybe resonate more with kids. It's very short. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amitabha.
Namo Amitabha.